Yo, what's up everyone? Today I'll be reviewing a gold Mercy player. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Whatever. Okay, so first things first on Mercy. Let's just talk about that. Who do you like being with the most on this comp? Like, who do you think will be the person that, if everyone's healed up, who do you want to enable?
The Echo.
The Echo? Okay. Yeah, Echo or Sim would be good. High Charge Zarya can be good as well. But Echo most likely will be flying up and not using the shield like the rest of the team out of a lot of situations, so it makes the most sense. So, you know, you do any of those three targets that I kind of just listed until that Echo then starts extending and putting themselves in a more vulnerable position. And then you would make sure that you're with them. So I'm cool with you just being with the Echo primarily anyway. Yeah, so really good healing priority right now. I like it. Team is TPing in. Team got split. That's not really on you. It's just a messed up TP.
Yeah, and then I didn't think it was worth to res that. A, it's dangerous.
Yeah, I would. There's no real reason to res that because you guys haven't really fought and gotten a pick. If you guys got like a pick and it was one person on your team that got killed, they would be not as over aggro on their team. But since multiple people got picked on your team and you guys haven't got any picks back, they're going to kind of push through the choke and chase you guys. So it's not an easy res to go for there. So you're completely right for not going for it there.
My damage spell is upon you. My ultimate is ready. Up here.
Yeah, in general, it's like, yes, you're on a hitting that sleep is good, but you're not the one that is usually going to pull out their Glock, you know, kill that Reaper for the team and everything. It's like you damage boost someone that's usually going to be waking him up for the most part. So while you're waiting for people to actually turn around and group up, you need to keep your eyes on that front line and help them, because obviously you're on as like, I just hit the sleep. They're not really focused on keeping people up, and they're not really they're not realizing that you're on to just hit the sleep yet, and they need time to kind of understand that they need to play slow. So you're kind of taking away that little buffer space right now to kind of keep them up, because at this point I actually would have popped Valk if I knew my team was still pushing, because you build it so quick, and you kind of use Valk earlier in the fight so then you can squeeze more damage boost and kind of push that advantage earlier instead of using it when you're kind of behind to kind of catch back up. It's like take the lead early in the fight with it. If you have it early in the fight, of course, but if you build in the middle of the fight and think it will give you advantage, you still go for it. So and I would say if you're focusing on, you know, practicing Mercy or Brig here, Mercy makes more sense than Brig here, in case you're wondering. If they usually have, you know, two flankers, like, you know, dive characters or more, that's where Brig makes more sense to play. Right now their only flanker technically is Reaper, so I wouldn't force Brig just because of one Reaper typically.
Right.
So that Valk though, we talked about early Valks, you know, help squeeze value, but the Valk, early Valk is more so once the fight has started. Like your Ryan's still back here, the fight starts once he's more at this corner fighting them. That's what you're kind of waiting for in terms of that early Valk. Does that make sense? Too early on this one? Yeah, just a little bit too early. And that's how we really squeeze the value of it at the correct time. And it's obviously a lot of healing going on when everyone's full HP as well. So this is considered over healing and not being fully aware of that. But you see how like Valk's halfway over. We haven't even gotten to the corner yet. So like we wasted half the value of this ult by that early timing. Because right here is where I would be popping it actually. As soon as they start swinging on this corner, this would have been the perfect time to pop it. I really like the patience on trying to stabilize your team instead of going for the greedy res right away. That's a lot of other Mercy's problems whenever I coach them in this rank, so I'm really happy to see that.
Yep. Yeah, it didn't start off that way. So.
Okay, well, I'm glad you got that worked out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Preventing your damage. I'm with you.
This is where I got a little frustrated at my team.
Yeah, no one being able to deal with this Ashe behind you
Yeah, and
guys.
they don't. I feel like we should just walk past her and ignore her. Like, move past
Yeah, as
her.
long as your Ryan would, like, for example, you know, keep in mind that
Not
she's
going
here
to
and then,
her
like, you know, shielding your team like this and everyone's behind and everyone's getting shielded correctly, you can ignore her. Otherwise, yes, most people would try to deal with her if that's not the thought process. So I would say, yeah, you don't really have anyone that can go up there though besides Junkrat. So, you know, it's like, can you go find the Junkrat and go up there? Technically, if that's what their thought process is, that's who I'd go try to pocket right now. But I don't, you didn't really have LS of Junkrat right now. So it's like, and you're thinking about ignoring it based on where you're looking right now. But it's like, if they're committing to it, at the end of the day, Mercy's the enabler, right? If they want to do something, you kind of just got to do it with them, right? So that's the thought process you kind of have to develop in this situation.
Okay.
But here it's like, yeah, you can get this res. I'd recommend though, you're resing right on, like past the corner a little bit. Your head would be technically sticking out. They would see you here, for example.
Yeah, I felt really risky
You
about
should
that.
technically, you know how you can pull back as you're resing? You could be kind of inching yourself a little bit further onto the corner. And it wouldn't have probably canceled there, so you'd be okay to go for it like that.
Thank you, Angela.
My healing spell is upon you. My damage spell is upon you. Your support has arrived.
Not good.
Okay, that was just finally dead behind us. That Reiner killed him with a fire strike. So you see, yeah, another early Valk. So where would I be popping Valk as Mercy? So you're here right now. The fight takes place actually on this corner right here. This is kind of the space you kind of usually get more for free, unless they're obviously some tanks sometimes even hold right here on defense. If they're holding right here on defense and your tank's right here, sure, pop the Valk right now. But otherwise, you want to wait until they get more so over to here. And some people would even say, while you're in here, you're the ones with the Junkrat. Never mind. I thought for a second, like, based off seeing the red Junkrat, it sometimes throws me off the color sometimes. So, yeah, okay. You could pop it right when your Reinhardt got to the top of these steps. That would be more so the better timing. So now it's like, yeah, we kind of miss probably like a 1/4 of our ult was wasted. And we're really trying to learn how we can maximize that to push our advantage a little bit more, right? So that's why I'm trying to kind of help you with that timing a little bit. Point out like more of a position where we would pop it at.
I have empowered you.
And that all depends on where the choke is on the map. And if you ever have played the tank role, you usually
This is not your time.
have a little bit more understanding of like where fights take place, because you're the one that actually has to pick where you hold.
Right.
So I have that kind of going for me because I play tank and I play Mercy. So
I place my tank, but I don't play it. So,
I'm taking care of you. Heilstrahl aktiviert.
okay, you're getting shielded for the res. I like it.
Damage spell is upon you.
And at this point, it's like, okay, you know, you no longer have that echo, right? McCree's still a pretty good pocket. High Charizard, pretty good pocket. Those are the two I'd be kind of leaning into. He has Junkrat against the normal squishy. If he hits 2 directs, they're dead no matter what. He doesn't really, even with the damage boost, doesn't make it one shot, right? So might as well pocket the character that has less mobility. Like McCree only has roll. Junkrat has 2 concussion blasts. McCree is overall more of a squishy or target that also wants to get closer to make it so that you can use this flashbang. So enabling him in the Zarya would be more so the damage boost that we'll be looking for when people are topped off.
got it.
I feel like you already understand the damage boost and who to be with. But
Yeah, for the most part, I usually try and stick with the Junkrat so that
okay,
full
interesting.
focus on Zarya.
I mean, Junkrat, if you're thinking of, like, I'm thinking of kill potential. If you're just thinking about in a poke fight where you guys are breaking shield, it makes sense to pocket the Junkrat, but a high charge Zarya would still be more damage per second because every single Junkrat grenade that he shoots is 120 damage. Okay, so a Zarya beam at 100 energy though is 170 damage. And
Gotcha.
overall, what is a more valuable ult for a wipe? I'd say a grab is more reliable than a tire in most ranks, but some people are really bad at countering tire, so then tire can actually be more value than grab at certain points. So typically I'd say the Zarya also has more of a health pool, so it's easier for them to be more aggressive then, so they usually can find more value due to their being further up in the fight than your Junkrat typically would be. And that's why I say if your Zarya is glowing like a Christmas tree is what I always tell people, the Zarya is a good person in the pocket because their visual appearance changes based on how much energy they have. And you know, if you see that big glow on them, you know they're have a lot of energy right now. They're prime targets to kind of enable.
Okay.
Like right now, your Zarya's not really lighting up like a Christmas tree, if I'm being honest. So, and also a reason that, like we talked about that target party with you know, Zarya over the Junkrat. If you res the Junkrat gets res and he's still the same old Junkrat. If your Zarya ever dies, you know, now they lost their energy, they have to rebuild it. So it's like valuing like someone that you don't want to die because they kind of get less value overall because they lose their energy. Because like the Junkrat that you're not pocketing, you can go res at any point. You know? And that's another way to approach that thought process with that. So I feel like we put up enough points, I guess, that high charge Zarya would therefore usually be better than a Junkrat.
Right.
So at this point, I don't really know what's going on here.
I think I was checking their profile.
Okay.
I don't know what I was doing, honestly.
Whatever. No one died while we did it. That's all that really matters. Alright, so lamp got kind of wasted there. Whatever. Nothing you can do about that. Okay, we slam.
My servants never die.
Yeah, so popping the Valk at that point is all about understanding if you can actually pocket them through that. If you think that Valk will save those people that are slammed right now, go for it. So if that were like a different character, maybe walking on top of people, but it's a Reaper, right? Walking on top of shattered targets. Reaper can kind of one-shot squishies like that. You probably won't be that extra 5 healing chain to people. You're probably not going to be able to keep everyone up. It is better to just do a dry fight here. Let them invest their ultimates, for example, and we save our ults for the next push because now we have more stuff than they do because they just wasted. They use Bob there, they use Slam, they use Nano, we use nothing. You know, now we go in with Slam, High Noon, Valk, boom. They have only Reaper ult at that point. And Trans by the time that technically happens. We have more ults, we have more of an advantage. So dry fights on attack are a big thing. This would make more sense on defense, where if you were on defense and you were to lose this fight, they just cap the point and the round's over and then you just didn't use your ult. On attack, it's okay to lose fights and go into a fight you know, stronger than the next one.
Okay, that makes sense.
On my way. On my way. Where does it? On my way. On my way. I
This
still
isn't
have
normally a
use for
res
you.
I would do. I don't know if it's good or bad, but they were calling for it. So pushing it.
On my way.
So it makes, it's like so split that it, like if they want you to res this, the tanks shouldn't be splitting themselves going main at this point. And in general with you guys, I'm having a Reaper. If you go main, then you're letting the Reaper kind of stage on you guys on top for free, and you also let the Ashe rain down on you guys with dynamites and from high ground kind of for free. So it doesn't really make sense from a comp standpoint for you guys to rotate main instead of rotating top. So if they want you to res this, they would have to be over here if I really wanted to break it down, and then this res would be okay to go for. And the issue is like they're trying to go in while they're asking you to res the other support. So while you're doing this, they have no support and they're actually aggressively, you know, peeking. The Hanzo ends up dying while you're doing it, blah blah blah, and that's where the problem lays. So if they're telling you to do it, I'm okay with it. It's that they just misplayed for what they're telling you to do.
60 seconds remaining.
On my way. Let's get you back out there. Join me.
thing that I don't want you to fall in the trap though, based on what we just talked about though, is if you ever disagree with what someone's telling you to do, stick with your gut, okay? If you're the mercy player, they're not the mercy player right then. If you think it's a bad idea, just don't do it, okay? Like, you have to stand up for yourself at times. I know people will get like angry at you for that, but you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. They need to learn how to deal with that in this, you know, time period, 100% if you ask me.
Okay.
So.
Come on. Light them up.
This one I just shouldn't have been standing there.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, if you know, it's like if your teammates are here, you know, and you're trying to heal them, you usually play a further back corner like this to heal them on that corner. You don't actually have to be on top of them on the same corner. Or I would put myself in this room, for example, so I'm less in the choke where they'd be spamming down. So there's less chance of error of us dying to that junk that they have swapped to. Because the Reaper swapped to junk recently. So yeah. A thing that as a mercy player, because we are doing VODs, I obviously can't see whenever you tab. A thing that I would like for you to do, if you don't already, is in between every single fight, a lot of people talk about ult tracking, and you know, go into a fight, it's like they use Junkrat ult last fight in trans. I think they probably have this then, right? And you know, if someone's popping off and you haven't seen them use their ult in a while, you kind of just assume they have it, right? They're on fire and they haven't used it in a while, you're like, okay, they probably have it then. Or you see what ults you have, for example, because that might adjust maybe who you want to enable in that fight, right? So if you know that Zarya has grab, you're like, oh, my tanks, like our DPS aren't really good at following up on grab, maybe. I don't know. Like, depending on what you have, it's like, it's better for me to pocket the Zarya or pocket the Ryan than if we're going to grab. And that overall helps you maybe have a better game plan on where you need position based on what ults they have or what ults you have. So I can't stress that enough. Like, in between fights, always trying to think about that, because like at the end of the day, you should always really be doing something in Overwatch most of the time, which some people don't like to hear.
Yeah, I used to do that a lot. I used to ult track, and I used to like make call outs and everything. Honestly, within the last like 3 months, I stay muted in rank now, because I used to get really, it used to like bog me down because I used to make all these call outs and say, okay, they're gonna do this combo next or whatever, and people just wouldn't listen, or I wouldn't get the outcome that I wanted. So I honestly just stopped because it was like, it was pushing me down. So
yeah, so my approach on that is like, okay, it obviously doesn't work. I'm telling you right now, people don't listen low elos. People might even know I'm a top 500 player playing in gold and they won't even listen to me, okay? Right. So I get to a point that you can be aware of these things yourself and ult track for your own well-being and that help you influence your own decisions, but you don't need to always share that information with them, because you can change how you play. You don't need to change how other people are playing, because other people are stubborn and they're not going to listen to you in general. So like, if you know they're going to have shatter that fight, you can play more around a corner, not relying on your Ryan to block it, for example, right? It's like you're pocketing around a corner, you're kind of, you know, strafing in and out so you can keep your beam attached. And then when that shatter goes off, you know, you moved around the corner because you understood they had it, for example. Or, you know, they have shatter that fight. Maybe you pop your Valk earlier in the fight, for example. Or if you know they have EMP, you pop your Valk a little bit earlier. Like right when you think EMP is about to come out, you pop that Valk. And that's how you go about it. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
My servants never bend.
Yeah, that's last fight. So I mean, you pop your Valk. Normally they just have a lot of ults, and you know, it just doesn't go well. Yeah, this is one of the games I'd say is like, I wouldn't say so far this game has really been necessarily your fault. I feel like it is kind of more so on other players, but we're still having things to talk about. So it's like, it's okay VOD in that regard.
Okay.
So you're at this point, yes, soldier would be who I pocket. This is good. But as you pocket this soldier, do you want to be further out of position to guard an angel to people? Or do you want to be more so like this, further back, so then you can see all the threats and then move accordingly? Because if you're here and then you see Widow is top left, right on that platform where the Doom is technically walking up, then you would strafe back here. Then if you see your tanks get weak, then you guard an angel to your soldier, and then you know, do the little bunny hop tech. while slingshot tech, and you get yourself over to this corner, then you heal tanks, for example, and that's how we'd go about our movement here.
Okay.
But we'll see what you obviously do. That's just, you know, kind of giving you a breakdown of what I would assume is going to be like typically.
Yeah, pretty sure I was all over the place last fight.
Okay.
Everyone just like died. I don't know.
That's Overwatch in a nutshell right there. Everyone just died.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I'm here.
I stay with my
Let's get you back out
DPS I
there.
want pocket until I see my tanks critical, then I go help them just like you did here. And that's like, okay, they're getting stabilized, get back to soldier. Tanks are getting hard pushed back. You try to help your tanks. You go peel for your Ana perfectly. They just still get combo through it. I don't think there was really much you could have done here. I'm telling you right now, that looked like you understood where to go. Like your tanks are getting critical. You need help with the healing. Your Ana just played really far back. If you know they are going to either play snipers or going to play flankers, actually playing further back like this on Ana makes you more susceptible to getting dove, especially by a team. So you actually play closer on this corner, for example, on Ana a lot of the time if you're ever in that position that you ever want to learn Ana. But whatever, I don't want to waste your time talking about characters you're not currently playing. So that's like why this fight kind of gets snowballed from my point of view.
Chanting your damage.
Yeah, from here I just kind of realized it's lost and get out.
Time to get my hands dirty.
I'm taking care of you. Damage increase. My ultimate is charging.
Lost. New defense point. Objective B.
Valkyrie's charging.
And then at this point, it's like, okay, they have Doom. Would I swap to Brig right now just for only Doom? Not necessarily. I would say you could play it, but it also makes sense to say Mercy against this because you can just pocket the Kree or the, you know, Ana, try to pocket them through it, blah, blah, blah. But it requires your Ana to be a little bit better for them to not die to this Doom without a Brig. Technically, could the Ana also be swapping a Brig right here? 100%. So, you know, it's not fully on you to make that swap, but
I don't quite know why I didn't change. Usually if there's a Doom on the other team, I switch to Brig just to handle it. I don't know why I didn't switch.
yeah, so in general, I always recommend never holding the staircase. The staircase is the staircase of death from my book from playing this game. Every time you're on the staircase, everything just goes wrong. You never really want to be here on Mercy. It's like if your tanks are holding here, you know, I like being here, for example, because then I'm not LOSing anything here, right? They can't see me. And then if my tanks are getting pushed back, then I can, you know, slingshot myself out towards here, you know, then float, heal them, then guardian angel back to them if need be. Or usually if they're already getting pushed back, they're probably going to pass from here and then drop point anyway. So it works out, right? And that's a safer way to go about pocketing it without having to rely on your tanks. Because then if you know they have shatter, for example, right, then you're not relying on your Reinhardt actually blocking it. Because I'm being honest right now, a lot of Reinhardts in you know, gold or plat, they're not going to block the shatter.
Okay.
Yep.
Setting out the welcome mat.
Chanting your damage. On my way. Let's get you back out there.
Nanoboost administered.
Shout.
Into the iris.
I'm feeling young again.
Okay. Well, I rewatch this.
I'm feeling.
Oh wait, did no one ever update the stream title? The plot support? That's your job?
Damage
What?
increase. Well done. I still have use for you.
Okay.
Not finished.
I'm under attack.
Nice super jump. I think you're doing that to get Alice's orb, so I'm really happy to see that you can do that. Because at the end of the day, it's like if people aren't picking you on high ground that you want to get LOS of, that's like your best tactic to kind of get LOS of them. So nice job.
And then he did. I was really confused here because I was looking for him and then
Yeah. It is what it is at the end of the day. Okay. At this point, when I hear that meteor strike, this fight's kind of about to be engaged. If you truthfully thought it would be going for you and you wouldn't be able to dodge it any other way, yeah, you could pop it at that point, but you had a lot of escapes because you had a lot of people that you could be guarding angels to in any direction that it didn't really make sense for you to do it. So did you having a lot of escapes, it makes it okay to not pop it.
Okay.
But if you weren't to have any and you know it's going for you, as soon as you hear meteor strike, like him jump up in the air like that, you're popping that shit. But you pop it here correctly, like the fight was engaged as you popped your ult, and oh, it's just a C9.
Yeah, everyone died, and then I just I just didn't touch. So I don't know if me touching would change it, but
Well,
I
to be
didn't.
fair, you're popping Valk and you're healing your Reinhardt, and your Ryan's pretty healthy, and he was kiting out that entire time, but he's kiting out because he's scared of Tyre and being a little bitch. And to be fair, you kind of have to suck it up as a main tank player and just die point. And you can't be afraid of dying if you ever want to be a main tank player. So no real reason to really kite here. So I wouldn't even say this is fully on you, because if I saw a Ryan this week, I would keep pocking my Ryan technically. And, you know, like if you realize you're playing with a low rank tank that might not go for the touch, what makes the most sense? Should I secure a kill? Because you won't be able to solve forever, or try to keep up the person that could be our front line that can solve for a while, and we can enable that.
Right.
If you think you can get this kill really quick and he will stay up, blah blah blah, and be able to touch and everything, you go for the kill. If you don't think he can stay up and everything, based on you having honor right now, he technically should be able to stay up if he, you know, plays the half decently, in my opinion. So you would just try to float down, right? And just try to DPS that Reinhardt while you do that, or heal your Ryan. Either one works, but yes, you could be buying him a little bit of buffer with your Valk for him to touch. But if I'm being honest, this is a 4.5 minute hold on Hanamura first.
Yeah.
I mean, second, you're probably going to lose this game at some other point without making a mistake anyway, that it's not like a super big deal, but you know, whatever. So yeah, that's the end of that VOD. How long have you been playing Overwatch for, by the way?
So I played for about a year when it
I'll
first
be
came out,
watching
and then I
over
stopped. And then I started
I'm
again
sorry, Reinhardt.
about last
After
year,
everything
and I
that
started
happened,
off
I
at
needed time.
1300.
Oh, well, congrats on the climb then.
Thanks.
A lot of people don't have the motivation to get out of 1300 with, you know, how the games are down there. So,
Yeah.
I see that you persevered. Okay, overall, so Mercy with this comp, totally fine.
My damage spell is upon you. Name.
Appealing for whoever's critical. You could guard. This is where I was like, okay, yeah, you know how you super jumped earlier to get LS your turbo and upper. I thought you were about to try to super jump off your Ryan, go back to your Kree. That's what I was thinking here, but you know, whatever.
Changing your damage. Casting a healing spell.
Yeah, I looked at him like 3 times. I don't know why I didn't do it. I failed it there.
Casting a spell on you.
Looks fine to me.
Let's get you back out there.
Okay, Zara's hard pushing right now, hard alone. I mean, you tried your best there to try to help them. That was just a bad push by them. You could go for that res and peel off corner. You actually peel more out into the open when you go for that res, so that's something to kind of think about with your res is more so how can I break LOS, because you're here, you're closer to the right wall than the left wall. You peel more onto the right wall as you go for your res. So it's just a little note that I keep seeing with your res that you should be trying to implement a little bit. The voice line.
Someone calls. My ultimate is ready.
And then you go immediately to your McCree. I'm telling you, a lot of Mercies don't actually know.
My
Okay.
souls never die.
This is like one of those Valks that could be considered early, for example. Like they're not fully engaged yet. It's more so when your tanks start fighting each other that the fight's fully engaged. Because you could be pocking this, you know, Doom that's upper without popping Valk, you know, if you knew he was going to take pressure. And it actually doesn't look like you're thinking about pocketing him. You're thinking about getting some kills yourself.
He actually dies right away.
Okay, yeah. So
I really should have healed him.
then it's like, yeah, in general, it's like you pop your Valk and pull out your pistol at times where you think you can get quick kills, okay? If you don't currently see someone that you can quickly kill, you usually, or like if you pop a normal Valk, right? Like when the fight's engaged and then you're like healing everyone, they look stabilized, and then you see someone kind of hanging at that point that you're like, oh, I can quickly pick them off, go for it. You don't really have that quick kill right now.
Okay.
Quick kills are typically like a Ana that's sitting far, like more split, like in the back, or a Zen that's really far back, or maybe you think that Mercy won't be able to escape you, or you see someone weak and you think you can get them really quick, or for example, you see a, I don't know, Widow scoped in or Ana scoped in, like they're pretty vulnerable at that point. Then you can easily headshot them, burst them down really quick without them responding. You'll get that kill quick, boom, move back on to healing. And that's like the opportunities you usually fish for with Valkyrie. Otherwise, for the most part, if you can't find that quick kill, it's better to just damage boost people, okay?
Okay. Yeah, I think I saw a sleep and got tunneled there.
Yeah, a little tunnel there for sure.
And then he just disintegrates.
Yeah, so
I wasn't expecting him to.
okay, I like that you scoot yourself down there. If that McCree, if you had flash, that would be a dangerous res. I don't think you had it at the time, so that makes that res okay to go for. But if that ability was up, that would have been a bad res. And then you yoink the nano from the Doom.
I sure
That's not on you, obviously.
I didn't know.
Just,
Yeah, he never said he was gonna.
yeah, you're just like moving around as you normally would. You don't really think anything of it. It happens. Whatever.
My ultimate is ready. Acknowledge. Ich bin da.
As though I needed the help.
Get here. Fire at will. I remember that. Where does it go?
Here I was thinking about jumping off, and I thought maybe I could escape. Oh, you know what? I
Yeah.
think I did get
I mean, if you think you can escape, it makes sense for you to just like, you know, might as well not start that, you know, stagger, right? Because if you jump off, then like while you're falling and getting to that ledge, you spent like 4 seconds at least or whatever since the last person died, and then it adds 4 more seconds that they got, that your team has to wait for you. And then they might even go in without you a lot of the times, actually in the lower elos especially. So it's like, if you can get out, it's always better to get out for the most part. Dying point isn't really a thing that you always have to do. Like in this situation, you dying point only doesn't really change a fight, to be honest. The extra 1 or 2%, I wouldn't even bother. Like dying point would be more a thing if it was like 2 CP and, you know, you need to throw everybody on one at a time to make them not cap that point. That's where you die point. But here, you don't really need to do that.
Did someone?
But I don't think you're a bad Mercy at all, if I'm being honest. This is better than any Mercy I usually see in the Sela. Like plat,
I
period.
feel like I don't have a lot of
You don't have a lot of what?
like influence on the fight. So like I feel like if the game is going bad, I can't really like, I don't know. I feel like when I'm Moira, like she's easy to, she has fat heals, she has fat damage.
Yeah, because you can squeeze in more
mobility,
damage. Like you squeeze in damage early in the fight, you're throwing damage orbs, and you throw your orb before you coal, and then everything just gets obliterated, right? Because you get to influence the damage a bit more, because Mercy, you're just being an extension to someone getting damage most of the time.
Right.
And, you
So
know,
it just
enabling them
like,
in said duels.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes I just can't change the outcome, even if like Mercy is like on paper a good pick for the team. Like if my team isn't landing shots, then like I am useless.
Yeah,
But I also don't like playing Moira all the time. Like
have you
I
ever-
don't want to be stuck on
Okay,
that.
have you ever played Zenyatta or Baptiste?
So I play Zen every once in a while. I'm not bad at him except for his ult. I have horrible decision making with his ult, so it kind of just like ruins the whole like pick. I feel like every time.
Okay, so do you truthfully just like, do you like Zen as much as you like Mercy, or do you like the playstyle of
Yeah.
Mercy a lot more?
Yeah, I like the playstyle of Mercy and Brig a lot more.
Okay.
I don't hate Zen. I don't know.
All right, so here's what I would recommend to you, and make this like a little bit of a homework assignment for me, but trust me, you won't hate this homework assignment, okay? You can lock Mercy where you think it makes the most sense, you know, when you have Ashe, for example, Echo, stuff like that. And then if you feel like they're not getting enough value, just if you have a Ana or you have a Baptiste, Zen is okay to play with that. At a higher rank, Zen can even be played with Brig actually, but for the sake of, you know, lower ranks, you know, with a Ana, with a Baptiste, it makes more sense. Block the Zen and just try it out, because then you can be more impactful by doing actual damage yourself, because that seems like what you're looking for, is being able to have more of an influence. It's like with the Echo, for example, yes, Mercy Echo is very strong, but can you also throw Harmony Orb on the Echo and just kind of like do your own thing after? 100%. Like with this comp too, like a Discord, you know, might help your Doom, like have Harmony on him, put a Discord on something. There's different ways to approach the game. There isn't like one way, like I have to pock this character, like my life depends on it, you know?
Right.
And like that's the approach right now from like the games. Like you're pocketing characters that should probably get more value with your pocket, and they're not really doing much with it, and that's where you just have to kind of change it up. It's like yeah, once you get more comfortable with understanding Val possibly a little bit, because I feel like that's where your kit on Mercy lacks a little bit. It's like, yeah, pushing around corners as your res, and then Val timings and understand when to pull out your Glock on it. If you start realizing those situations where you can get those faster kills, that's where you can find a lot more of that carry potential on Mercy, especially in the lower ranks, because you'll realize this person's like really split, really out of position, and you can really just like ruin their day really quick. And then everyone gets, honestly, everyone gets demoralized after they die to a Mercy, especially those hitscan players. Hitscan players, their ego is fragile. Just have a good time destroying it a little bit. So
Let's get you back out there. On my way.
Step right.
yeah, not really much you can do about that. High Noon, like to enable it, like you High Noon out in the open with no shield, he gets pulled straight away. Whatever. And then your Zarya is extending this entire time that you're down. Like, that's what I mean by like some more rolls. It's like what looks like the dead weight, you know, from my point of view. The Zarya doesn't really know when to well, they're trying to touch, actually. That's the end of the round. But like at certain fights, I definitely see them overextending, blah blah blah. Like you're doing what you can enabling.
Okay.
Like this map in this game is considered a sniper map, so you know, it's very open. It makes it harder to play Echo and play Pharaoh on this map typically, but you know, they lock it. Good damage boost priority. Go to the Widow when she first gets LOS upper, and then you realize your Echo keeps pushing, so you go with your Echo. The big thing that I'm going to get into with you is your positioning as you pocket people could be a lot more passive a lot of the time, because you kind of hang out in the open with no corner, and you're not thinking about how can you use corners while you enable someone to make yourself harder to target and take more of a commitment to kind of get after usually. So that's something to kind of think about as you are attaching your beam. And you're also usually, when you're attached onto a target, you're not really looking as much around as you could. That'll be more so a problem whenever you play against a flanker, like they have Tracer here. So while you're pocketing this Echo, let's say this Echo's here, so then you're here or something. You're, well, technically that puts you in perspective of main. So you're here and you're hugging it, for example, right? You'd be wanting to keep your eyes on the left side as well. So you put your kind of head on a swivel. If you ever played it like basketball, like as a kid, just like for fun or whatever, that's like something coaches always tell you, have your head on a swivel, you know, blah blah blah. So I don't know why I even reference that, but whatever.
The objective is now
My damage spell is upon you.
Good healing priority if you ask me. Brian just gets pinned. You can't really do too much about that. You are getting pushed back, so you can't go for the res. A big thing that I want to stress is on this rotation out, once your main tank's dead, who do you want to help get out typically? So how the healing priority goes is like your Ana is going to help the tanks get out. You want to focus on helping your DPS and your squishes get out for the most part if you are playing Mercy Ana. So I'd like you in this situation, if the Ana was the one with you and the Zarya, you focus the Ana's got that Zarya. Then you slingshot yourself behind them, so you're probably not going to be the one game focused anyway. So the Ana can fully tunnel on the Zarya though. And that's what I prefer to see you healing here instead of just, you know, sitting on your Zarya the entire time. And the thing that some Mercies do, instead of like, you know, floating with the Zarya here, they actually put themselves like this. So then off their Zarya, they slingshot now instead of just like being only a little bit behind them. So they actually distance themselves on this like off angle initially to kind of get that momentum to force themselves even out quicker. And that's something that's kind of more niche on the character. But if you notice when I point out that positioning on Hanamura on that second point in that corner, that's like ways to kind of use it to have more creative positioning that makes you in a less threatening position that relies on your teammates as well a bit more less by being there.
I feel like that's something that I can do sometimes, but I'm not super comfortable with all of the maps, so
okay, well, I mean, that comes down with time. And if there is ever a map that you feel like you struggle with, okay, we can go over, like, you can give me a VOD of that you playing said map, or we can even not have a VOD if you feel like I always lose this map. We kind of talk about how we can go about playing that character on said map. And that's like something that I offer for coaching if people do want to do that at any point. So I'll hop in a custom game with you, invite you, and then I'll kind of like move to the things with ball, and we'll kind of have like a discussion and make it more of a map like walkthrough about what could we do based on this situation, kind of throw out theoreticals and everything, you know? Okay. Does that sound interesting at all? Because if that's like you don't like a certain map, we can definitely get that going sometime.
Yeah, because I've done that with some other maps before, but really only like 2 of them. So
okay.
The other ones they just kind of wing it, I guess.
It's like here, are there any like the main things like, okay, if we want to talk about this map, if we want to get into, it's like, okay, usually left side of the map is power position. Why is it a power position? High ground kind of surrounding the map. There's more room to move, more pillars to kind of use instead of these like more skinny pillars, right? That's more narrow platform, blah blah blah. It's kind of like a death trap dropping here a lot of the time as well. And this actually has control of a health pack, and that's why it's more of a power position. Typically it's like, yeah, you and his skins usually want to swing left side on this map. Eka wants to be flying whenever they've, you know, are trying to break LOS. They're using the pillars. You're going to be using the pillars a lot as well for your general, you know, positioning to kind of break LOS of whatever you need to, aka the soldier in this case. And that slingshotting and, you know, playing those weird off angles and having a target that you can, you know, slingshot off of is how you're going to stay alive from Tracer, along with super jumping as well. So but super jumping is primarily used to use, like, if Tracer pressured you right now and the Saka wasn't here, you super jump off the Ryan, go high ground top left here if she pressured you from bottom, blah blah blah, and you kind of just play like a little game of cat and mouse like that. So here, yeah,
way too long to decide what I was gonna do.
It was completely safe, so you could have done it right away, but it's whatever.
I didn't know if
and they instantly die, so yeah, you just go find the Ashe now and damage boost Ashe. Like here, your team is engaged in the fight, so it is okay to pop Valk, but I would have liked to seen you go, like, you're honest, just randomly on the left side. I think your tanks rotate through there, I guess, but no, she's split, she's weak, but she's healthy now. You're thinking about pulling out your pistol here. You know, you don't have like a clear, easy target when you pulled it out, because like you're still having to move when you pull it out, right? You already want to be in the position that you want to start shooting right away before you swap to that Glock, okay? This is a more of a rule of thumb for that. But overall, it's like, okay, Mercy enables DPS, right? If your DPS aren't popping off and your tanks are struggling, consider playing possibly, you know, that Brig pick that you thought of as well, or the Zen pick, because then you're putting more pressure onto their tanks, for example. Yeah, or, you know, you have more frontline presence with the Brig, blah blah blah.
I've got you.
I like this.
Right beside you. Helden sterben nicht. My damage spell is upon you.
Adjusting angle of attack.
Don't waste
So whenever you get this kind of dilemma, by the way, of Ashe or Echo, do you usually have a preference?
Usually I base it off of who hasn't,
Who's been doing
well, I
more?
guess who's been doing more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. That's totally fair.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I was
I
just
guess
curious.
character-wise, I don't really have a preference.
Okay. As long as you know, have a kind of formula for how you figure it out, I'm happy. But yeah. This is just, like you said, it's more of a role. If I'm being honest, what was kind of going on here. Honestly, just for science, okay? I'm gonna watch one fight from the tank lineup, just kind of see what might be going on. Okay, Ryan goes point. He drops from high ground into the slam. It's early in the fight. They usually have bubble. If they currently don't have anything to aggress on, like they didn't even know the Ryan's there and he's doing it in their face, they're probably gonna have their shield up, so they block it simply. Then they don't realize they didn't shatter the Reinhardt, so now the Reinhardt's probably going to pin him and he's overextending, trying to follow up on this. He missed, dodged the pin though. They nano him. If they nano Ryan, what's the Ryan going to do? He's going to be super over aggro. They're probably nanoing him because they shatter as well. Good Anas don't nano their Ryan early when they have shatter. They nano him after he gets the good shatter to make it a little bit more less predictable and a higher rank. But your Ryan kind of got shattered. And then your backline got rolled based off that. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know what your DPS are really doing right now. I don't know. It was just a team diff if you ask me. I don't really know what to tell you.
Okay.
Like we talked about stuff obviously, and we, found some things to kind of like work on to improve ourselves. And then if we feel like the people that in theory, Mercy with those characters are good, but if they're not really doing much with it, maybe being on Mercy makes them think they should play those heroes, and maybe they're not even comfortable on those heroes. So then it's like, what if you simply think they're not doing well with it? Do your own thing. Play Brig, play Zen, play Baptiste. If you really want to go back to your old ways, could you technically just play Moira? Yeah, but you don't enjoy playing Moira as much.
Yeah, so I'll still play her. I don't always just pick Mercy. I just pick the Mercy games I played so that you could spot those. But
yeah, of course.
I usually don't pick healer first.
So you fill around your other support.
I fill around my other support and DPS. I don't know if I'm supposed to, but I don't take my tank line into consideration too much when I pick.
You do take in your tank line into consideration because, for example, if you currently have Ryan Zarya, what are supports that are really good with Ryan Zarya? What do you think? If we more Brig. A lot of people will say Lucio's really good at enabling the Reinhardt to take space and the Zarya to take space. So Lucio's a character that's technically good with them. Ana is kind of like a staple a lot of the time for a lot of people. I'm a firm believer that Ana is usually one of the better supports in lower ranks because you can heal yourself. You can have high impact with anti-nades. You can also just pocket the fuck out of your tanks correctly, and you'll probably get a lot of value out of that. Because typically, in my opinion, the weaker players on the team in a lower rank a lot of the time are tank players, and I feel like that is due to the lack of amount of people that want to play tank in the first place, because it's more of the miserable role in the game. Most people that sign up to play a deep FPS game want to play a character that is more like FPS. They don't want to hold a shield typically, so the game's not really catered to those players typically, so there's just less of them. Therefore usually they're more of the weak link. If you had to take, I don't know, full on skill into consideration, if we really had to, you're about 2500, but typically the 2500 DPS or support usually have a little bit more of an understanding, in my opinion, than the 2500 tanks for the most part.
Yes. So like I was saying, I placed my tank and my tank placed 2500, and I don't know shit about tank, and I literally just played like a bot. I just didn't die and I got 2500.
Just don't die, forehead. I know, great advice right there. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Have a good one, Katie. It makes sense overall that if your tanks are bad, you need to help them more. And Mercy, you can help your tanks, but since you have Ana, you figure Ana's going to help them more. But I'm telling you, a lot of Anas actually get really sidetracked from their tanks whenever I coach them. So then it's technically Ana is one of the easier supports to help, characters that enable your tanks more, the easier supports to kind of climb up on a lot of the time, or characters that can secure kills. If I say the hardest support to rank up on, it is Mercy technically. Mercy is the easiest to rank up on when you actually play with a duo that plays the character that you can actually pocket, like Ashe or Echo or McCree or a Soldier or a Pharah. or technically an off tank usually are good duos for Mercy players. If you're ever looking for a duo, that's what you'd be kind of looking for. I'm not sure if you have any duos. And
all of my friends are. So you actually coached my boyfriend last week. He's
oh really?
a diamond tank with a silver Zarya play. I don't know if you remember that. I'm sure
wait,
you have lots of those.
Is it Penguin?
Yeah. Yeah, so him and his friends they're diamond and masters, and all they keep telling me is, oh, just learn to play Ana and Bap and then you'll climb. And I hate it. I don't want to play those people.
I'm telling you right now, I would bite the bullet at some point and learn them just for the situations that they are better, because your tanks are kind of getting massacred or whatever, because they're more of an enabler to your tanks than Mercy can be most times.
Okay.
So you just bite the bullet. Every now and then you'll rank up quicker then, and then boom, you get to a higher rank where Mercy is more viable more of the time, and your tanks are smarter and understand how to play with a Mercy instead of Ana shoving their gun up their ass basically, and boom, you have a better time.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad that your boyfriend liked the coaching, even if I called him a silver Zarya, I guess.
Yeah.
Enough that he told you to get coached by me too.
Helpful. Yeah, and he was really excited about it. It was really helpful.
Okay. Well, I hope I didn't demoralize him too much by saying that. I was just, at the end of the day, I'm a streamer. I try to be kind of funny with things at the end of the day. Do I truthfully mean everything I probably say? Probably not, right? There's some, exaggerations done at the end of the day, but yeah, it was. But I say that sometimes as like kind of motivation in a way, because a lot of people, they kind of need to be knocked off their high horse because they always assume it's other people holding them back. In your case, yes, as Mercy as an enabler, yes, people can hold you back, for example, a bit more. But, that flexibility, and then, little text that we did point out today, like how to position yourself to be less vulnerable, right? Less out in the open, resting more and pulling towards the corners more. That stuff will add up in situations. You'll notice things feel a little bit easier and safer to do then. And then you'll be able to limit push a bit more on Mercy.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure coaching you for the past hour. Do you have any questions before we wrap up for the day?
I don't think so. It's like, because I want to, my goal for next season is to get to Diamond.
Okay. I think that's very reasonable.
Doing coaching, should I do like once a week?
So
Weeks?
For you, I would say at 2,500, I think you are in a good enough spot. I'd say every 2 weeks would be more than enough for a player like you, in my opinion. Yeah. So I look forward to seeing you possibly in 2 weeks, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Peace.